We are on page 66, and this is the Module 3 test review. Most of these are multiple choice. Let's go through them. I suggest that you go through them on your own first, and then play this video to check your answers. Alright, number 1. Suki split 5 dog treats equally among her 6 dogs. Which fraction represents this division? This is kind of like the blocks of clay being divided by people. There's going to be 5 dog treats, and that's going to be divided by 6 dogs. And that's the same thing as when the dividend becomes the numerator and the divisor becomes the denominator. It's going to be 5 over 6. The answer is B. Alright, let's go ahead and move this up so we can see more problems. Let's do 2 and 3 here. 2. Which set or sets does the number 15 belong to? A lot of people might want to choose whole numbers because 15 looks like a whole number, but I want you to recognize that 15 could be the same as 15 over 1. That's a rational number. So it's not A because it's more than a whole number. It's not B. It's not just a rational number. C says integers and rational numbers. Well, integers are whole numbers and they're opposites. So 15 is an integer. We know it's a whole number, and we already talked about how it's a rational number. The answer is D. It's all of them. If you'll remember the way the Venn diagram is set up, if it's a whole number, then it's also a set of integer in the set of integers and in the set of rational numbers. Alright, question number 3. Which of the following statements about rational numbers is correct? Let's go ahead and read through all of them. A. All rational numbers are also whole numbers. That's not true because 7/8 is a rational number and that is not a whole number, so it's not going to be A. B says all rational numbers are also integers. Again, 7/8, that's a rational number, but that is not an integer, so it's not going to be A. It's not going to be B. C says all rational numbers can be written in the form of A over B, where A and B are integers and B cannot be 0. Let's check out D. Rational numbers cannot be negative. Yes, they can. You can have negative 7/8. That's a negative rational number. The answer is C. Okay, let's go ahead and clear the annotations and check out question number 4. Which of the following shows the numbers in order from least to greatest? It's really important that we check this out. Alright, so can it be, let's pick out a couple non-answers. What's a good non-answer? Can't be B. The reason why it can't be B is because we've got a positive here. I'm going to go ahead and... It can't be B because we've got a positive here and then a negative. We wouldn't go from least to greatest. We wouldn't go positive, negative, positive, negative. So it's not B. Let's see here. Could it be A? The negatives are first, and then the positives. That would work. Could it be C? I've got a negative, then a positive, then a negative, then a positive. It's not going to be C. So it's going to be A or D, where I've got my, on A and D both, I have my negatives on my left and my positives on the right. What about on A? We're going from least to greatest. Greatest has to be at the far right. Is 0.4 greater than 2? It's not. It can't be A either. So that little bit of common sense test-taking strategy helps you get that the answer is D. Alright, let's go to the next column over. We're on numbers 5 and 6. 5 reads, what is the absolute value of negative 12.5? Well, how far away is that from 0? Because that's what negative value means. Number of spaces away from 0. Negative 12.5 is 12.5 spaces to the left of 0. The answer is A. Alright, question 6. Which number line shows negative 1/4 and its opposite? So the tricky thing about this is that we're not going to see 1/4. It's not labeled. So what you want to do is you want to analyze. We've got zeros in the middle, we've got ones on the right, and we've got negative ones on the left. And so if this is 0 and this is 1, what are these spaces? Well, I like to think of it this way. This one right here is halfway between 0 and 1, so that's got to be a half. And then this is halfway between 0 and a half. And so if you think about it in terms of money, if this is $0 and this is half a dollar, it's 50 cents, what would be right here? It's going to be 25 cents. 25 cents is a fourth. And if that's 1/4, then this one's going to be 3/4. So let's go back up and read the question again. It says, which one shows negative 1/4 and its opposite? So here is positive 1/4, but that right there would be negative 1/4. It's not there. So it's not going to be A, but it's going to be it's going to be B, because there's -1/4 right here. Right here. And here's its opposite, which is going to be +1/4. It's going to be B. Alright, a couple more. Let's check out question 7. Horatio climbed to the top of a ladder that is 10 feet high. Which number is the opposite of the number that represents Horatio's height? So he climbed up 10 feet high, and then we need to find the opposite of that. Well, the opposite of positive 10 feet is going to be negative 10 feet. The answer is A, -10. Just read carefully, and they're all pretty easy. Alright, number 8 is called mini-task. The table shows the heights in feet of several students in Mrs. Patel's class. You can read that there's 4 students there, and what you have to pay attention to is that a couple are in decimals, one's a whole number, and one's a fraction. I'm sorry, a mixed number. Question A writes, write each height in the form of A over B. That means to take each of these guys and write it as a fraction, where you can only have a numerator and a denominator. So 5 1/4, what we do on this is that we change 5 1/4 into a mixed number, where we go 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. So the first one is going to be 21/4. Next one's going to be 5.5, which is the same as 5 5/10. Then we do the same thing we just did. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 5 is 55. It's 55/10. Unfortunately, we would need to simplify that. And we would simplify that by dividing by 5. Because 5 is a factor of both 55 and 10. 55 divided by 5 is 11. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. We get 11 halves. I know that doesn't seem right, but it really is the right way to do it. Let's check out this next one the same way. 4.9 is the same as 4 9/10. 4 times 10 is 40, plus 9 is 49. 49/10. And that doesn't simplify because 49 and 10 don't share a factor. And 5 is the same as 5 over 1. Question B reads, list the heights in order from greatest to least. So let's go back and use a little common sense. Which one's the greatest? I can tell you what it's not. It's not 4.9, and it's not 5. It's going to be 5.5 or 5 1/4. I know it's going to be 5.5. It's going to be greater than 5 1/4. Because if I changed 5 1/4 to a decimal, it'd be 5.25. And 5.50 is more than 5.25. So I know that 5.5 is the greatest number, and that 5 1/4 is the second greatest number. And then 5 whole is the third greatest number, and then the only number that's under 5 is 4 9/10. 4.9. There you go. Okay, good job. You're done with page 66.